Welcome to Slow Night Ancient Tales. As the world outside grows quiet and the stars take their gentle place in the night sky, it is time to leave the rush of the day behind. Breathe in deeply and let go. Tonight, we travel back in time to the peaceful era of the Joseon Dynasty, wandering into the royal court of King Seongjong. We will share a heartwarming and softly humorous story titled Chilhyu's 3 Cups of Wine. It is a tale of a brilliant, wine-loving scholar and a wise king's deep affection for him. So find your most comfortable position, gently close your eyes, and let the quiet echoes of the ancient palace guide you into a deep, restful sleep. Dongin's collection of historical tales, Chilhyu's 3 Cups of Wine. Author Kim Dongin, an event from the reign of King Seongjong. Seongjong was the grandson of King Seongjong the Great. Once, when his grandfather, King Seongjong, gathered his many royal grandsons around him to enjoy a conversation, a loud thunderclap suddenly struck. While the other royal grandsons panicked and fled, not knowing what to do, only the 9-year-old Seongjong sat calmly and observed it. The Joseon Dynasty, having experienced the cultural rule of King Seongjong and the military prowess of King Seonjo, had now firmly established its foundation. By the reign of King Seongjong, it had become as solid as a rock. King Seongjong, who ascended to the throne of Joseon during this peaceful era, experienced some minor personal distress due to matters concerning the queen, but as the monarch of a prosperous age, he lived a life filled with harmony. Among the subjects deeply loved by the king was son Sun-hyo, who held the titles of Chanseong and Taehaksa, also known by his pen name Chilhyu. Like a true scholar of a peaceful era, he excelled in poetry, singing, and dancing, and on top of that, he was a man who greatly enjoyed wine. The king loved son Sun-hyo very much, but because of this love, he worried about his excessive drinking. The king would always advise him, "You may drink, but do not exceed 3 cups." Then Sun-hyo would swear not to exceed 3 cups, saying, "How could I ever disobey your command?" One day, the king was in the royal study, reviewing diplomatic documents submitted by the Songmunwan. The memorial was not to his liking, so he urgently summoned Daejahak's son Sun-hyo to have it rewritten. However, the royal messenger who ran to Sun-hyo's house returned without him. He reported that he had searched everywhere Sun-hyo might be, but could not find him. The king sent another messenger, and another. The messengers went again and again. As many as 10 people went, but everyone returned empty-handed, unable to bring Sun-hyo. Every time a messenger returned, the king would even rise from his throne in anticipation, but the awaited Sun-hyo did not arrive. Only the people sent to call him returned in vain. After the messengers had been sent a dozen times, it was almost twilight when the awaited Sun-hyo was finally brought in. But by this time the king had become very displeased because of him. The king was already in a bad mood, and upon seeing Sun-hyo's appearance as he entered the palace, he grew even more upset. Sun-hyo's attire was untidy, his face was flushed with the heavy effects of alcohol, and he staggered in with an unsteady gait, kneeling down clumsily to bow. The king could no longer contain his displeasure. "Your Majesty, I have arrived according to your royal command." When Sun-hyo spoke these words with a slurred voice, the king looked down at him for a moment with an angry expression and asked where he had been when so many messengers had been sent for him. "My daughter has married and moved away, so I had not seen her for a long time. Today, I happened to be passing by and briefly stopped to visit her, which delayed me." This was Sun-hyo's excuse. "I strictly told you earlier never to exceed 3 cups of wine, so what is the meaning of this state you are in today? How could I ever violate your strict command? I did not drink more than 3 cups. 3 cups? Are you saying you get this drunk on just 3 cups? Yes, only 3 cups, only 3 large serving bowls." It could not be helped. He was acting stubborn in the royal presence, trusting in the king's favor. No matter how great a scholar he was or how skilled at writing, he was too drunk to be trusted with composing a diplomatic memorial. So the king tried to summon the deputy scholar to have them compose it together, but Sun-hyo refused to accept this. "I will handle it alone. No matter how drunk I am, could I not fulfill the duties of my office?" He stubbornly refused to listen. Since it was the stubbornness of a drunkard, and moreover, the Sun-hyo whom the king loved, the king granted permission to test his abilities. Sun-hyo shook his drunken head back and forth a few times and then said, "The memorial is ready in my mind, so please bring me paper and a brush." Thinking that no matter how good his handwriting was, a drunken hand could never manage it, the king tried to call for a scribe. But this drunkard stood his ground and requested to write it himself. So as a test, the king ordered writing materials to be given to him. Sun-hyo picked out a few brushes from among them, squinted his drunken eyes repeatedly, practiced writing on his palm, and then threw them all away, complaining that they were all useless brushes. By royal command, the king's own personal brushes were brought out this time. Taking one of them, he said, "This brush will barely do. However, since I am old and it is hard for me to bend my back, please give me a desk." It was yet another complaint. A desk was also provided. Kneeling before the desk, Sun-hyo squinted his face repeatedly as if trying to focus his eyes, drafted the entire text, read it over once, and presented it to the king. The king received and read it. As he read down line by line, a look of joy gradually appeared on the royal face. Whether it was the prose or the calligraphy, it was an excellent memorial with nothing to criticize. He had ordered it as a test, but this was truly unexpected. The king sent Sun-hyo's drunkenly written memorial exactly as it was down to the Sungmun one to be dispatched. He then ordered the royal kitchen to prepare a grand feast, and he gave Sun-hyo enough wine to get completely drunk again. Soon, when Sun-hyo was so drunk that he was about to lose consciousness, the king asked him again if he could still compose something well right now. To this question, he immediately replied that he would do exactly as commanded. Here, the king set the poetic topic as Zhang Liang and gave the rhyming character Zheng. As soon as the rhyme fell from the king's lips, Sun-hyo immediately recited clearly, despite his drunken voice. His brilliant strategy did not follow the strike at Bolangsha. Then, when the king called out the character Gong, he immediately responded. Drawing his sword, he came straight to follow the Duke of Pei. In this way, when the king called out a rhyme, Sun-hyo would immediately respond, and the poem created was as follows. Borrowing chopsticks, how could he achieve the foundation of Han? Welcoming the emperor, he carved wood and yielded the royal seal. His lifelong strategy was passed down from the yellow stone. In his later years, for fame, he floated like a red pine. Sighing over the boiling of Han Shin, he warned against becoming chopped meat. When the task is complete, retiring the body, this is the true hero. Truly, you grow stronger with age. The king, who had intended to test him, was finally full of admiration. The king, completely satisfied in his heart, called for court musicians to play the pipa and sing, and commanded Sun-hyo to stand up and dance. However, being too intoxicated, Sun-hyo could not lift his body and collapsed right back into his spot. The king personally untied the royal robe he was wearing, covered this beloved subject with it, and retired to his inner chambers. After the founding of the dynasty by King Taejo, wise kings appeared in succession, making the country exceptionally beautiful and prosperous. And at a time when the factional strife that would later ruin this nation had not yet arisen, the monarch and his subjects spent such joyful and harmonious times together like this, from the Osansalim Chogo. And so, just as the brilliant scholar slumbers peacefully beneath the king's own royal robe, our journey into the past comes to a gentle close. The royal court is quiet now, and the night has fully embraced the ancient palace. I hope this serene tale from a harmonious era has brought peace to your mind and comfort to your heart. Thank you for resting here with me on Slow Night, Ancient Tales. May your dreams be as rich and gentle as the stories of old. Good night, and sleep well.